So for those who aren't really up to speed on what's happening in New York right now, they have a mayoral race taking place, and this is an urgent video about that. Today is the Democratic primary, and it's a defining moment for New York, and for America potentially. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo faces off against Zohran Mamdani, who is pictured here. He's a 33-year-old state assemblyman from Queens who's surged from nowhere with viral TikTok campaigns and endorsements from people like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. Worthy endorsement, apparently. But today, we're sounding a deafening alarm. Zohran Mamdani is the most dangerously divisive candidate New York's Jewish community has ever faced. His anti-Semitic rhetoric and actions, chillingly reminiscent of Jeremy Corbyn's toxic legacy in my country, the UK, threaten to make New York a hostile place for Jews. I want you to imagine him as mayor, a city fractured, unsafe, and recognisable. New Yorkers need to vote to stop this now, and I'll explain why. Zohran Mamdani is a Shia Muslim born in Uganda to India parents. He's served in the state assembly since 2020. His campaign promises bold changes like free transit, but he has an obsession with anti-Israel activism, and it's a glaring red flag, which Rabbi Mark Schneer, a revered New York rabbinic leader with over 40 years of bridge building across communities, he calls him uniquely indifferent to Jewish concerns. Mamdani has been recorded chanting for the boycott, divestment, and sanction movements against Israel at violent anti-Semitic protests, where slogans like "One Solution, Intifada Revolution" and "Globalize the Intifada" rang out. Phrases that for Jews evoke terror and violence from the uprisings of the 1980s and 2000s. And by the way, let's be clear, calling for boycott, divestment, and sanctions of one country in the world, and that one country happens to be the only Jewish one, screams of blatant anti-Semitism, unless he calls for boycott, divestment, sanctions against a whole host of other countries. Somehow, I doubt that. In a recent interview with The Bulwark, he refused to condemn, quote, "globalize the Intifada," calling it a symbolic call for Palestinian human rights. He compared it to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, a comparison the Holocaust Museum slammed as outrageous and offensive. He's refused to affirm Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state, a stance that Rabbi Schneer says is deeply offensive to Jews who have endured 2,500 years of persecution. Again, I wonder if he questions the existence of other countries. For Mamdani, Israel's right to exist isn't a matter of survival, it's a political bargaining chip. And his record gets even worse. Mamdani declined to co-sponsor a 2025 New York State Assembly resolution commemorating Israel's founding and, shockingly, a Holocaust Remembrance resolution, though his campaign claims he supported the latter by voice vote. His refusal to publicly stand behind these measures speaks volumes. He's even had the audacity to say he'd arrest Israel's democratically elected prime minister if he visited New York, following a controversial International Criminal Court warrant, which of course was based on trumped-up charges, which America has rejected and penalised the ICC for. He's spread anti-Semitic tropes, falsely claiming New York lawmakers' trips to Israel are taxpayer-funded when they're privately financed by philanthropic groups. Mamdani co-founded a Students for Justice in Palestine chapter in college, and he aligns with the Democratic Socialists of America, both accused of promoting anti-Jewish rhetoric. His actions aren't just divisive, they're a direct attack on New York's 1.6 million Jews, the largest Jewish community outside of Israel. And by the way, I think it's our biggest cohort of viewers on JTV is in New York. This, for me, mirrors the nightmare of Jeremy Corbyn's UK Labour Party leadership, where his anti-Israel fixation and tolerance of anti-Semitic tropes fueled a surge in hate, leaving British Jews feeling abandoned. Mamdani is following the same script. His rhetoric risks emboldening the kind of hatred seen in recent anti-Semitic attacks, like Jews gunned down outside a Washington, D.C. museum. Which, by the way, I have to reflect on, because people were saying that, well, they targeted people directly involved with the Israeli government. But if that's the case, then the logical incoherence of that, when they would call so many people who are quote-unquote civilians in Gaza, who are aiding Hamas, but are not actually, on the front lines with Hamas, they would, by that logic, consider them to be legitimate targets for Israel as well. The logical inconsistencies here are just stunning. Another example is Molotov cocktails thrown at Jews in Boulder, Colorado recently, with attackers shouting "Free Palestine." This is the kind of hate that Mamdani will generate and bolster. He'll deny it and say, no, I'm against anti-Semitism. It's just about politics in Israel. It's not. When it's the one country in the world whose very existence you question, when it's the one country in the world that you call for boycott, divestment and sanctions, anyone trying to pretend anymore that this isn't about Jews is deranged beyond all measure. Even if they don't realize themselves, the result is it's anti-Semitic, even if it's not in your heart. In New York, where anti-Semitic hate crimes jumped 20% in 2024, Mamdani's words could ignite an already smouldering fire. Imagine him as mayor. Picture Jewish New Yorkers walking past synagogues defaced with intifada graffiti, knowing their mayor has chanted at protests where such rhetoric thrives. Envision Jewish community centres already under armed guard, facing heightened threats as Mamdani's refusal to affirm Israel's existence signals open season to Jewish identity. Jewish students at CUNY or NYU, already harassed on campus, would feel betrayed by a mayor who amplifies anti-Israel causes linked to their torment. Jewish-owned businesses could be targeted by BDS campaigns with City Hall's implicit blessing. Mamdani's leadership could shatter the fragile coexistence between New York's Jewish and Muslim communities, turning a diverse city into a battleground. It's already, very fragile as it is. With hate crimes already soaring, a Mamdani mayoralty could make every Jewish New Yorker feel like a target. Mamdani's team may point to his proposed 800% increase in anti-hate crime funding, but this rings hollow when he chants at anti-Semitic protests, peddles tropes and dismisses Israel's right to exist. His claims of facing Islamophobia don't excuse his actions that offend and endanger Jews. New York needs a mayor who stands unequivocally against all hate, not one who fans the flames of division. Former Governor Cuomo, by contrast, has called out Mamdani's rhetoric as part of the rising anti-Semitism plaguing New York. So I say to New Yorkers, this is an existential issue. With Mamdani neck and neck with Cuomo in today's polls, your vote on June 24th, 2025 will decide whether New York remains a safe place for Jews or becomes a Corbyn-esque nightmare where anti-Semitism festers under City Hall's watch. Mamdani's blatant opposition to Jewish self-determination aligns him with the world's worst anti-Semites. Safety's on the ballot here. Every Jewish vote and every New Yorker who values unity needs to show up and vote against Mamdani. Don't let him turn the Big Apple into a city where Jews live in fear. I think this message is so important to get out right now, and today is the day. So make sure you get out, and if you're able to, put a stop to this candidate. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.